Hi, my name is Nathan Kais, and I get to demonstrate for you today the story of the Ark and the Temple. And I typically teach at 8:30 in the morning with the kindergartners. So I wanted to brief you a little bit about setting this up when you begin to talk about the building of the temple and it being prepared. That's when I put out the foundation. And I have things ordered so that the roof will go on last. The walls, you'll see that there are notches here. The notches always face to the back, so that'll help you order that. There's this piece here, it's made of cedar, and it's very fragrant, and the original temple had a lot of cedar in it. And so I'm going to put this in. I'm going to start to build the temple, and I'll put this in a little later after I describe what was in the temple, of this being the cedar. There's a reference to it. And so we'll begin. This story is based on a couple of passages from the Old Testament, 1 Kings chapters 5 through 8, and 2 Chronicles chapters 2 through 8. And this particular version is adapted from the Godly Play curriculum. You can find it in volume 2, lesson 8. And that's what this version is adapted from. And this particular version, as you know, I should say, we always invite the children to watch where we go to get the materials so that they'll always know where to go to get the lesson. And once we have the materials set, we're ready to begin. And this is how the story goes. So I'm going to set this aside for now. And I'm going to begin. The people of God came into the promised land. When David became king of all Israel, he ruled the kingdom from Jerusalem. David and the people of God began to live in Jerusalem, but something was missing. It was the ark. David and his army went to get the ark. He brought the ark and the tabernacle to Jerusalem. It was a very exciting time. David was so happy, he danced in front of the ark. They set up the tabernacle and they put the ark inside it. When David went back to his house, he thought, I have a house with walls and a roof, and God's house is just a tent. He asked his friend Nathan, should I make a temple, a building for the ark? Nathan said, do what you have on your heart to do. But that night, God spoke to Nathan and said, go tell David, you shall not build a house for me. Have I ever asked for a house of cedar? After you die, one of your sons shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. David made plans for the temple and gave them to his son Solomon. After David died, Solomon became king of Israel. It was now time to build the temple. All of the people helped to build the temple. Some went to the north, to Lebanon, to cut down and bring home great cedar trees. They went to a nearby mountain and cut stones, and they prepared the wood and stone to begin. The temple began to grow, and the people were amazed. There was a great room called the Holy Place. and an inner room called the Most Holy Place. The high priest entered only on the Day of Atonement, the holiest day of the year. The temple was beautiful, with carvings of olive wood and gold. And the great timbers of cedar made it smell wonderful, like this. Inside the temple were all the things God told them to put in the tabernacle. There was the incense burner. Fragrant smoke filled the temple as the incense burned. Here is the table with the bread for each of the 12 tribes on it. And finally, here is the menorah with its 7 branches and lamps burning. In front of the temple, there was the altar, just as it had been in front of the tent. But now it was bigger. The same was true for the great basin of water, the laver. On the day that all was ready, the priests brought the ark to the temple. When they put it inside the most holy place, the glory of the Lord filled his temple. Solomon came before all the people and prayed. He said, "O Lord, God of Israel, there is no God like thee in heaven above or on earth beneath, keeping covenant and showing steadfast love to thy servants who walk before thee with all their heart. But will God indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, heaven and the highest heaven cannot contain thee. How much less this house which I have built? Yet have regard to the prayer of thy servant and to his supplication." Solomon ruled well and was wise. Some say he was wiser than anyone in the world. His father had been famous for his songs and war, but Solomon was famous for his wise sayings and the temple. Finally, after being king for 40 years, Solomon died and was buried in the city of David, where his father was buried. And Solomon's son became king of Israel. Now, I wonder what part of this story you like best. I wonder what part of this story is most important. I wonder what God tells us about himself in this story. I wonder what God tells us about ourselves in this story. I wonder if there is any part of this story we can leave out and still have all the story we need. When you go to Jerusalem today, the temple is gone. It was destroyed when the people of God went into exile. It was rebuilt and destroyed again, and then rebuilt again in Jesus' time by Herod. In 70 AD, Herod's temple was destroyed by the Roman army. Only pieces of it are left today. I wonder if the temple is gone and no one can find the ark, where the 10 best ways, the 10 commandments, are kept today. And lastly, I wonder what work you would like to get out in response to this telling of the story of the ark and the temple.